Well, welcome back to Tram Crazy. I am here on TryHackMe looking at the solar room, which is about exploiting Log4j. As I said, as a follow-up from my last video, I'm going to be taking you through the solar room and showing you all the amazing learning content they've got about the Log4j vulnerability. So here we've got a bit of background, which I explained more in my first video. So it's CVE-2021-44228, affects Log4j, and earned a score of 10.0 as its severity score because it was so severe, and it's been called Log4 shell. And so it has been patched, but not in all software because it's used all over the world. There's a link here to a community maintained attack surface with a list of some vulnerable applications. And then here we've got some paragraphs explaining to you, you need to make sure it's a current and real world threat. Don't use this content for bad reasons. Don't maliciously attack other software. Use it to better the security landscape. And don't attack the developers of Log4j. It's a part-time and voluntary thing that they do. That's not their job. So we've deployed our virtual machine up here. By clicking on Start Machine in the text. We've got our Kali attacking box over here on my left, and we should be ready to start working through it. So, first section, Reconnaissance. So we've got software that utilises the vulnerable Log4j package. So the IP address is 10.10.86.50. Yours will be different because they're assigned based on when you do it. They're a bit random, so yours will be different to that. But mine is 10.10.86.50. So we'll start with some basic reconnaissance. So we're going to run an nmap scan against the machine. So we can use the command they've suggested, or we can use our own command, but we'll just show you the command they've suggested. Okay, so we've got 2 ports open there. And then if we want to scan all ports just to make sure there's nothing else, then we can do like that. And then that will scan through all 65,535 ports. And then the question is, what port service is running on port 8983? So we'll just wait for our scan to complete. While the scan's completing, I thought I'd tell you a bit more about what's coming up on the channel. So soon we're going to be teaching some programming language courses, starting with Python, and then some other ones as well. And something unique I'm doing in them is each episode there'll be a challenge rather than just teaching you things. There'll also be a challenge to test your skills and further your learning. So the first challenge is going to be creating an about me print in Python, and then we're going to move on to some more advanced things in the other episodes. So it'll be a 10-part series, so look out for that. This is probably going to be the last episode in the short Log4j series because there's not much more to cover. But if you want to see more security videos, then that will be coming up soon. Okay, so we've got here it says unknown on 8983. So the question is, what service is running on port 8983? Then, okay, so we might have to look at it because it says unknown. So why don't we try bringing it up in Firefox? So let's open Firefox on our attacking machine. And we'll go to 10.10.86.50.8983. Okay, so it seems to be called Solar, and I think Solar is made by, doesn't work very well with this, let's try just making that a bit bigger. Yeah, so now you can see a bigger version of my Kali VM. So we can see we're running Apache Solar, and this is a, it's created by Apache, so it seems like the answer for this one is going to be Apache Solar. So let's just pop over to Google Chrome and Yeah, that's correct. Okay, let's move on to discovery. So it says, this target machine is running Apache Solar 8.11.0, one example of software that is known to include this vulnerable Log4j package. For the sake of showcasing this vulnerability, the application runs on Java 1.8.0 181. Explore the web interface accessible and click around to get a feel for the application. Okay, so let's have a look at the web interface we've got here. So we've got a dashboard with just some information, so the version, system usage over here, some arguments that the Java virtual machine is running with. In the logging section, it shows about some logs, so there's a warning here. Level Log4j2, that could be interesting. But this is just some more information about how the logging is working. We've got security, so security is not enabled for this server. That could be interesting. Core admin, where you can add cores to Apache Solar. Java properties, that's just a bit of information about how Java is running. And a thread dump, so that looks like more stack traces. Okay, so let's go back to the dashboard. Let's see what we need to do next. So next up, we're going to see it's provisioned with no data, but it's still vulnerable. So you should be able to see clear indicators that Log4j is in use. What is the dsolar.log.directory argument set to displayed on the front page? So that looks like, if we go over here again and switch over to VMware, then dsolar log directory says var/solar/logs. Okay, interesting. If we copy that and paste that in here, we can see whether that is correct. So it is correct. So that's that question done. So download the attached files to see some example log files within Solar. Explore each file just to get a feel for what is displayed in each log. So let's just download these into our shared files, and then we'll go back into our VM and have a look here and go So what we're doing here is just copying the file we downloaded on our Windows box to our Kali home directory. Okay, so there I've just unzipped the file like you would on anything, and then here we've got some files. Actually, I made a mistake with that. Let's just move all of those. Right, sorry about that. I've just moved all those in here. So it says on the TryHackMe thing that that the target machine is running Apache Solar. Oh, we've already looked at that. So download the attached files, done that. Explore each file to get a feel of what is displayed in what log. So one file has a significant number of info entries showing repeated requests to one specific URL endpoint. Okay, let's have a look at one of them. So maybe first of all we could have a look at solar.log. That looks like it's the main one. So we've got a lot of requests to this path, a lot of info logs with a request to /admin/cores. If we go here, we can see that the core admin page, maybe there's something to do with that. So let's just have a look and see whether /admin/cores is what we want. Oh, so the file name with the repeated entry is solar.log. .log, and the URL endpoint is /admin/cause. So what field name indicates some data entry point that you as a user could control? Okay, let's have a look over here. So we can see, could it be maybe parameters? Let's try that. So if we head over to our TryHackMe's site and try entering in. Okay, so that's correct. So now we've done some discovery, we're going to move on to the proof of concept. So the URL endpoint that we've just uncovered, admin/cause, needs to be prefaced with the Solar prefix. Okay, so params are included in the log file. We can see the attack vector. So it adds extra logic to logs by passing entries, but may take actions and even evaluate code based on the entry data. Okay, so here are some examples. And the general payload, like I showed in my video, is the JNDI LDAP payload. And it reaches out to an endpoint via the LDAP protocol. So the attacker controlled host placeholder, like when we wrote 127.0.0.1. So where could we enter this syntax? Anywhere that has data logged by the application. So think back to the previous task. You already discovered you could supply params. So we could simply supply HTTP get variables or parameters, which will then be processed and passed by Log4j. So let's have a look here. So we need to check our own attacking machine IP address with IP-addr show. So let's just check that. And our IP address is, with our TryHackMe one, is 10.8.241.29. So let's head back to Google Chrome and we can see we've done that. So we're going to start a netcat listener to listen for incoming traffic. So let's run on port 9999. And we'll open a new tab so we can do more stuff while the netcat listener is running. So we can use curl with this command to attack the server and see whether we can get a JNDI payload running. So we can have a look at this here. So let's switch back to our VM and here we're putting in our own IP address for it to come back to. So 10.8.241.29.9999, and then we can do like that. Okay, so now we can run this command. Okay, seems like the command ran okay and the request went okay. Let's have a look at our netcat listener. We have a connection from the Solar server, so the exploit worked perfectly. So we can now say we have completed all of that, and let's move on to exploitation. So we verified the target's vulnerable, and we need an LDAP referral server so that we can have a payload to run code on our target. And so we will have our bit here that says LDAP to reach out to the referral server. Then it will put the request over to a secondary server, and then the victim will retrieve and execute the code on an HTTP server. So we need to run an HTTP server with something like python 3-m http.server. So first of all, we need an LDAP referral server. so we can use this Marshall sec utility. So this needs Java, and it needs Java 8. So we will install this on our Kali VM. So we need to install Java 8. So let's go and open this link, and we want JDK 8U181. 8U181 Linux x64 tar.gz. So that one is all the way down here. So if we copy that link address, and then we can download it to our attacking machine. So if we switch back to our attacking machine, let's go. Well, after a ridiculously long amount of time, yes, I don't know what's going on with my internet speed either, we have finally downloaded the file. So, now we just need to run lots of commands to change our Java version, which are listed here. So, we're going to make a directory for the JVM. We're going to change into that directory, unzip it, update all the alternatives and stuff. I will probably speed through this as well, because this is just boring installation. So what that command is doing is downloading the Git repository from github.com, and now we have our Marshall sec repository here, and we've got all the code we need all there ready. So we've changed directories into that folder. Now it says we've got to build Marshall sec with Maven. So we need to install Maven. And we can use the standard installation method, sudo apt install Maven. Yep, we want to do that. So it's just grabbing a bunch of things from the repositories. Okay, we're just installing Maven. Okay, we're done, we're ready. So now it's given us the command we need to build the Marshall sec utility. So we're just going to go in the directory and use mvn clean package -dskip tests. So we're going to go back to our VM, mvn clean package -dskip tests. Okay, so we're downloading some stuff from the Maven repositories. So I think I made a slight mistake when I built Marshall set for the first time. So we're just gonna build that again there. Okay, build success. So I think now we can just run it as we tried to earlier. Okay, awesome. So that's now running. Yeah, I just made a slight mistake when I typed in the command. Yeah, I made a mistake, sorry. So we are now ready. So the output of running this command, if we go back to our VMware, it says listening on 0.0.0.01389. Okay, so let's just paste that into the answer box. Correct. Okay, so now we can open a second terminal window to prepare our final payload and secondary HTTP server. So let's go back to our VM, and we are going to go into our second window. Just make sure we're in our main Solr directory, and we are going to make a directory called exploit. So we're in our exploit directory, and we're now going to create a payload called exploit.java. So I will hop into a code editor, and we can pop in that code there, and we'll just pop that from the TryHackMe thing into our own VM. So that should all be ready, and then if we just pop into Solr exploit and then save that as exploit.java. Okay, so that's ready. We just need to compile our payload with Java compile, because here we've got the information we need. So compile our payload and verify it succeeded, and we should have an exploit.class file. So javac exploit.java. So we'll pop over to VMware. Okay, we now have another file called exploit.class, exactly what we wanted. Now we need to spin up an HTTP server with python 3-m http.server. Okay, that's now running. And now we need to open up another terminal window and run a netcat listener like that. So I'll just pop into the VM, open up another window, Okay, so we're now all ready to go. So all we've got to do is open another window. So we've got our 3 ones running, and now we just need to do curl 10.10.86.50 solar admin cores Okay, so now we've done that command, and if we run it, we have got a connection back from 10.10.86.50, and yep, everything's been fetched. So now let's just try. Yeah, okay, so we have a full reverse shell. We can run who am I? Solar. Okay, it's not a very elaborate reverse shell, but we've got a shell. So let's just pop back to Chrome and see. So we've got initial access and command and control on a newly installed Solar instance. It's very vulnerable, and we could do whatever we wanted here. So this is why there's been such big problems with it. So now we could try other commands like getting a Meter shell loaded, or an Empire agent, a Cobalt Strike beacon. We're not going to cover that in this video, but we might do it in another video. So now let's move on to persistence. So we've gained a reverse shell. We can take any action we like, so we'll get better access. So port SSH is open on the host, so we could now do some stuff. So I've already tried who am I, and that's told us we are the user Solar. So what user are you? Solar. That's correct. Stabilizing your shell, we can use the usual upgrade trick. So we can now do Python 3 -c import pty spawn bash, so that basically makes a nicer shell for us automatically. So we've already got a better shell now, and we've now got a stabler shell. So if I run oh dear. Oh, that's because we're running on a Z shell. Okay. We might have to try that all over again. Okay, that's fine. We'll just Control C that. We'll just close that tab. Open a new tab. And we'll rerun that one. Okay, and we've got our connection back again. See? Very simple. So we need to, oh actually, I want to, okay, now we're in a bash one, so we can do that again. So we'll run the Python 3 command, we'll then background it, and then foreground it, okay, so we now have a stable shell with nothing to worry about. And let's see whether we can have any, whether we have any permissions. Okay, so on this box, the Solar user can run any command as root, so that's very dangerous. shouldn't set your permissions like that, but anyway, it says for your convenience in this exercise, so that's okay. Let's become root, so we'll be sudo bash password solar, enter new Unix password, log4shell, log4shell. Okay, so that's been updated, and then we can SSH in with this one. Typing our password of log4shell, and we will be, yeah, so here we are. We've now got an SSH shell, which is a lot more stable. So we've got into the machine, we've got persistence, and we've got stability. So unfortunately though, as said in the room, finding applications vulnerable is hard, and detecting exploitation might be even harder because of so many bypasses. But there's been a lot of effort and a lot of tools created, which is great. So there's some detection tools, and there's a big resource on Reddit. So we can explore our own logs, so we can see okay, let's look at so we've got calls here when we called admin cause, and that's when we kept trying to get in. Oh no, that's not when we were getting in. Let's look a bit later. Just now, yep, we've got admin cause, the parameters, and that's how we got access there. We can see easily in our logs. Sorry, I didn't show that. Just like that. Right at the bottom of the logs here, we can see the exact calls where we were getting access, because I had to do it 3 times because I made mistakes. There, that's how we got access. So okay, there's bypasses we can try, but actually we're not going to no, we are actually. So there's bypasses. So the JNDI payload is the typical syntax, but it could be caught by firewalls now that the vulnerability's been around for a while. So there are lots of ways to bypass it by using other calls like lowercase and uppercase. So we can do things like Log4j, environment name, and that just kind of shuffles things up a bit so it shouldn't get caught by a firewall. And you can also use the RMI protocol instead of the LDAP protocol, so that works alright. And yeah, so use the knowledge for good. So mitigation, how are we going to fix it? So we can locate the solar.in.shell file. So let's locate solar. Okay, etc. default solar.in.shell. So we can see locate it. It's here at etc default solar.in.shell. So let's copy that, hop back to TryHackMe, paste it in, and that's correct. So we can add this syntax to the file, and that'll stop the Log4j exploit from working. So if we copy that, and then in VMware we can run sudo nano / etc / default. Okay, and then scroll to the we've got to scroll to the bottom of the file and add a new line with that. Okay, so we'll just go all the way to the bottom. This is lots of security settings that you could turn on that aren't turned on because this is a default installation. So let's paste that in. Yep, so that's okay. So that should mitigate the vulnerability. So we've got to restart the server. Like this. Okay, so it's restarting the server automatically. There, okay, so it's working now. So let's try that whole thing that we did before again. So let's go in here. Okay, so that's all running, and we will use the curl command to re-exploit it with this command. Okay, and we'll run that, and we haven't got a shell back, so that's fixed it. So we've just managed to fix the server and stop it from, there's been no request to marshal-sec. We've managed to stop the server from being exploited with Log4 shell. So it has been patched, but there are lots of software that haven't been patched. So Log4j itself has been patched, but many software haven't been patched. So try and patch your own software if you can as soon as possible, because otherwise it can be attacked. So we've finished it now. So yeah, make the community a better place. Don't hack for bad reasons. Okay, so that's the end. We've completed the room. So hope you enjoyed it. I'll try and shorten the raw recording a bit because it's a bit long, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.